Thank you so much for having me today, and thank you for giving me your time, 30 minutes of your time, to talk about a topic that I'm very interested in. Always being the last speaker is difficult because you have to follow such good presentations. But I think Professor Larcy made it much easier for me because he gave so many good examples of what I want to talk about. Thank you so much for that. Again, I'm going to talk about cross-disciplinary teaching and learning, a vision for integrated education. Before I continue talking about that, I wanted to talk to you about my background and why I'm so interested in this area. Obviously, you know, even when you are in STEM, education is part of it, right? So I'm interested in that area. My bachelor's and master's degree is in computer science. My PhD is in instructional technology. I ended up in the Department of Computer Science and Mathematics, teaching computer science for many years, but for 12 years also at Virginia State University. And then I moved to University of South Florida last year to the College of Business, teaching information technology. So I think my multidisciplinary background has helped me tremendously. There were times that I felt that I don't have a place in computer science or mathematics because my PhD's concentration was computer science, but it was mainly in instructional technology. But I found my place. And I think it puts people like me in a certain category that we become we can do multitasking, teaching in different areas. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about. So I'm interested in integrate education in STEM, and I'm also interested in cross-disciplinary teaching and learning. So while this acronym STEM stands for obviously science, technology, engineering, and math, educators and scholars need to broaden the definition by looking at cross-disciplinary way of thinking. So now these days we talk about STEAM, right? Because now we are adding an A to it, which includes art. Okay, so, and STEAM H, which includes healthcare, medicine. And now maybe we need to add a B to that. Maybe business needs to be part of that, right? And maybe psychology. You know, when I was working at Virginia State University, psychology was in the College of Engineering and Technology. And if they were not part of the engineering and technology, they couldn't apply to some of the fundings available because to some organizations, psychology is not science. It's not considered as part of STEM. Or at least that's what it was when we were trying to submit something to an organization for a grant, and they said, well, psychology is not part of, you cannot apply because, you know, it is not part of STEM. So I think we need to basically change that area of STEM, change that acronym to include psychology, social science, business, art, and all work together. We don't want to limit our students to thinking that the disciplines are isolated. Instead, we want students to imagine STEM education as a space for them to explore possibilities of how these disciplines can actually work together. So top research universities produce, or most research universities produce and teach knowledge and research, but they don't teach innovation, and they don't teach entrepreneurship to STEM students. And I want to exclude top institutions in the United States, such as MIT or Stanford, that they do actually a great job in bringing innovation and entrepreneurship into their schools. But in the United States, as far as I know, we are still struggling with revisiting the curriculum to see what are the important things that we need to put there. So the new generation needs new types of careers. So to the new generation, a job does not equal opportunity. It's not. So the new generation, they are not looking for jobs. They're looking for opportunities. And they say that if you teach me the skills, I can start my own business. I can do great things with my life. And I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. So the new generation, they have been identified as the most complex generation in the country's labor. We need cross-disciplinary research and education. No certain discipline can survive on its own. No single discipline has all the answers for many of today's persistent questions. Yet little research has been done, has been completed on the factors that encourage or constrain cross-disciplinary research and education. Complexity of socially relevant problems. So because of the complexity of those socially relevant problems, we need multidisciplinary, cross-disciplinary way of thinking. And we need innovative thinkers. So we need innovation education. So there is a national, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, international need for a dramatic reform in education to focus on innovation when it comes to STEM. So the focus of my talk is that we need entrepreneurship education. There is not much research that connects entrepreneurship education to computer science. There may be in engineering or other areas, but because my focus is more on computer science, and I know that there's not much in that area. Diversity of disciplines, that's what I want to talk about. Bringing together, just like we are in this room, great academic minds and diverse perspective from different disciplines can transform teaching, learning, and research. And also, I want to talk about challenges, because there are challenges involved in these areas that we want to talk about, and hopefully you're going to identify with those and go, oh yeah, you know, that is a challenge. That's a challenge when I go back to my institution. Those are the challenges that I'm going to have when I talk about, when I want to have a conversation about cross-disciplinary education in higher education. So I want to talk about different generations, but I thought that because we are from different countries, maybe we need to have the same idea of what it means when we talk about these generations, because I want to mainly focus on millennials and Generation Z. And basically, we have Generation X. Maybe most of us in this room are Generation X. It's ages 37 to 52. Actually, the 82 million people in US are Generation X. Generation Y, which basically the millennials fall into Generation Y1 and Y2. So it is 20 to 36. Generation Z is ages of 2 to 20. Nearly 74 million are Generation Z. And you may be wondering why millennials is not there. Is because they basically break it down. They can fall into Y1 or Y2, Generation Y1 or Y2. So realistically, Generation Z is just a placeholder for the youngest people on the planet. Okay? So I wanted to talk to you about millennials and why it is so important that we change the way we teach. So they have a strong sense of meaning, but not paychecks. When you talk to them and say, what type of work are you looking for? What do you want to do for your career? They want to have a sense of meaning, but they're not necessarily after paycheck. They are called lazy. We call them lazy. Yes, I have 2 kids of my own. They're both in college. We tell them that you're lazy, you're entitled, and you're spoiled. And I have to, I agree. They're lazy, they are entitled, and they're spoiled. But at the same time, the generation has been praised. We praise them for that collective innovation and desire to work for something other than money. We praise them because this generation can actually a technology-savvy generation. So how can we actually turn those lazy, entitled, spoiled? I don't remember who had a presentation the other day that said the professors are not leaders anymore. They're not leaders, they're followers. So how can we take it back, right? How can we be in charge as professors and turn actually those lazy, entitled, and spoiled kids into take those as positive things and turn them into great innovators and entrepreneurs. They are actually purpose-driven generation. They are overconfident. They are looking for dream jobs. How many of you have met teenagers who, or young people where they come to work for a company and after a month they're like, okay, where's my office? When am I going to start managing? When am I going to start my CEO position? You know, when am I going to move up? They are not patient. They want it now, right? Give me, I'm ready. I'm ready. Give me the job. Okay? So, and they're the job hopping generation. That's what it makes it so challenging for the companies to keep them, to retain them. So now the companies, different organizations are trying to find ways for retaining these students, right? Because the dream job for them is what they see in companies like Google or Facebook or some other places where they go water sliding and they have free food and free this and free that and they can take a nap during the day, right? So that is a type of environment that they envision as a place that they want to work on. But they're also a generation that are attracted to entrepreneurship. So I read this, and I put the links here, that it said that since the recession, many millennials have had to start their careers during a time of economic contraction with few traditional full-time jobs available. And the unemployment rate for Black and Hispanic Americans, which is normally higher than the national average, has been persistently high since the recession. In fact, 2015 was the first year since the Great Recession that the unemployment rate for Black Americans receded to below the 10% mark. It makes sense then that these groups that have faced especially difficult employment circumstances have their sights on self-employment. Okay. So that was very interesting when I read that. Okay, because I know, at least for me, and I know for some of you who live in this country, the challenge has been, how do we reach out to those populations, African Americans, Latinos, right? How can we teach them the skills that they need? We go to these communities and we want to make them into mathematicians and computer scientists and engineers. Maybe we have to look at different alternatives. They don't have to necessarily be mathematicians or engineers, but if we can give them the tools and the skills to use them to start their own business, I think we have achieved a goal. So in a new global study, again the citation is here, Monster surveyed 2,000 people across different generations and discovered a few interesting characteristics of Generation Z. And by the way, Generation Z some of them are graduating, they're going into workforce, and some of them are coming into. So for me, when I look at the ones that are going to the workforce, to me, at least as a professor, I'm like, hopefully we did a good job with them, but it's kind of late as a professor to reach out to them. But at least we have the opportunity to reach out to the younger ones or incoming students to universities. They want real perks. They want work that has meaning. And they are attracted to entrepreneurship, as I mentioned before. In fact, nearly half of Generation C respondents said that they want to have their own businesses, compared to 32% across all working generations. Okay? Now, so I want to talk to you about what kind of students do we want to have? What kind of graduates do you want to have? But before I do that, I wanted to talk to you about the fact that we need T-shape professionals. We need T professionals. So the T and I-shape professionals. I-shape professionals tend to think narrow and tight. The I-shape professionals is highly versed in a specific area of expertise and learns by drilling more deeply in a particular field. I think all of us in this room can agree that we are I-shape. I think anybody in academia, for all of us, we are considered I-shape, right? But T-shape, think extended. The T-shape person has broader skills and knowledge and learns by linking up different perspectives from different specialties. So some of us, or maybe all of us, could be I-shape and T-shape. Okay? And so basically, I think that in this area, STEM we've done a great job. We have all kinds of simulations. We have created softwares. We talk about distance learning. We talk about, virtual learning, hybrid learning, flipped learning, right? We are doing everything we can to actually to give them a deep understanding in their field of STEM. Okay, but to do this, okay, to give them a broad idea of what the field is and how they can apply it in real world, I think we need collaboration. We have to work together. Now, any organization needs I-shape people. There is nothing bad about that. But now more and more organizations are looking for T-shape, and I'm going to talk about not just T-shape, but even E-shape and M-shape. Okay, so this is a T-shape. So here you have technical content, you have domain theory, you have domain fundamentals, you have problem solving skill, you have research skill. But when you come to the broad thing, you have the 21st century competencies. You have to have deeper learning, you have to have analytical reasoning, you have to have managing complexity, you have to have collaborative work, self-directed learning, and all of the cultural awareness and innovation. Now, we have I-shape, T-shape, J-shape, E-shape, M-shape. They come with different shapes. But they started with I-shape. Now with the T-shape, if you're an I-shape person, this type of things, example could be Microsoft art, CRM expert, paid search expert, mobile analytics, Then T-shape tend to be social managers and content marketers. M-shape is they're people who have multi-skill with ability to apply knowledge across situations and domains. This one among the three is actually the best one. For example, a product designer and coder, big data and electronics, musicians, animators. But now the argument is that we need more E-shape learners. E-shape has 4 E's. We want them to have the experiments, the expertise, the exploration, and execution. So the last 2 traits, exploration and execution, are really necessary in the current and future economy. Okay? So think about it. We really want our students to be all of that. We want them to be I, T, M, E, all of these things. But we as individuals don't have the expertise to teach them all of those things. Right? Therefore, we need a buffet of goodies. We need T-shaped professionals, those with technical depth of STEM, as well as cross-disciplinary breadth. We need to create individual courses that can create an environment where it gives an opportunity to the students to join the lines into a T or M or E. And also we need cross-disciplinary education, and I'm going to talk to you about that. I'm going to define what cross-disciplinary education is. We need innovative entrepreneurship to teach these STEM graduates how to take an idea to a marketplace. And we know that there is a huge process from getting to an idea to a marketplace. And we also want them to be socially and globally relevant thinkers. So let me define innovation, and then also give you a few more definitions, and then we'll move on. Innovation is not creativity, and these are not the things that I'm saying. Sorry, I probably forgot to put the citation there. I didn't say that. Innovation is not creativity, though creativity can be an element of innovation. So Meir in 1991 said that research is a transformation of money into knowledge. Innovation is a transformation of knowledge into money. And then Docker in 1994 offers this definition. He says innovation is a specific tool of entrepreneurs, the means by which they exploit change as an opportunity for a different business or a different service. And here, if you go to this website, the authors present that innovation is a transformation of ideas into impact. And that is what we are going to teach our students. That innovation is transformation of ideas into impact. Now, somebody asked me the other day, said, you're going to talk about cross-disciplinary. What is cross-disciplinary? What is interdisciplinary? What is intradisciplinary? So I thought it may not be a bad idea to give you a definition so all of us have the same idea in terms of what it means. Again, the information on this page came from this page here. Now, we talk about, so we have different disciplinaries. We have intra, we have cross, we have multi, we have inter, and we have trans. And I know that in the past few days you've heard people talking about transdisciplinary, intradisciplinary, interdisciplinary. So intradisciplinary is working within a single discipline. Right? Most of us do that, right? I mean, I do research within a single discipline of computer science, okay? Then multidisciplinary is when people from different disciplines working together, each drawing on their disciplinary knowledge, okay? When I look at multidisciplinary, what I really see is that multidisciplinary, I think, is when people within the same they're not discipline, but within a STEM work together. So I work with biology, psychology, chemistry. So I see that as a multidisciplinary area. Maybe I'm wrong. But a cross-disciplinary is viewing one discipline from the perspective of another. Okay? So when I see cross-disciplinary, I see business working with engineering. Okay, or when I see a professor of philosophy working with a computer science teacher working on a course like ethics, or some of the, as you were mentioning, some of the courses, some of them were cross-disciplinary, and some were multidisciplinary. And then interdisciplinary is integrating knowledge and methods from different disciplines using a real synthetic of approaches. And then we have transdisciplinary, which is creating a unity of intellectual frameworks beyond the disciplinary perspectives. That is when, as I was reading about transdisciplinary, is when sometimes you bring policymakers into the picture. Because in order to change something, you have to change the discipline. And in order to change the discipline, then you have to have policymakers coming in. So I hope this gives you a better idea of, oh my goodness, I'm out of time. Okay, don't leave. It's going to get more exciting than this. Okay, so there are some clarifications. Multidisciplinary and cross-disciplinary can be used interchangeably. And These are going to be available later. So many complex design problems facing society require cross-disciplinary. So when I use cross-disciplinary, I'm using it as an umbrella for all kinds of disciplinaries. Okay, so there are another thing that Dalalba said. He said, learning to become a professional involves only what we know and can do, but also who we are. It's about becoming. And it involves integration of knowing, acting, and being in the form of professional ways of being that unfold over time. I agree with that. So cross-disciplinary is about thinking, awareness, acting, engagement, and being, which is identity. They're inseparable. And your ideas basically shape during a cross-disciplinary, not only just education, but cross-disciplinary research. My goodness, I'm running out of time. So here we are talking about innovative entrepreneurship and all that. Okay, so computer science by nature is cross-disciplinary. I mean, think about artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is, it has roots in mathematical logic and mathematics, but also uses physics, chemistry, biology, and even has parts in medicine and psychology. Human-computer interaction, which is my background, it is multidisciplinary. It is basically a discipline that consists of cognitive psychology, neuroscience, ergonomics, engineering, design, anthropology, sociology, and all of that. Even data science could be interdisciplinary. Nowadays, students can come from different disciplines and be involved in data science. So basically, cross-disciplinary teaching deals with connections, interrelations, and interactions between different fields of knowledge without integration from other disciplines by studying topics using foreign methodologies of unrelated disciplines, highlighting aspects of the first discipline by means of studying the other while delving into issues with a big picture. So I heard that phrase, big picture. That's basically what we are looking for, right? So, for example, one example of cross-disciplinary is studies of physics of music, of politics of ecology, right? So characteristics of cross-disciplinary collaboration is that the level of complexity, it is complex, and I'm going to, in a few minutes, tell you why. Understanding and appreciating the opportunity. We need framework for assessment and self-assessment when it comes to cross-disciplinary and the complexity of that. And using the same language in the same space. Okay, even as mathematicians, sometimes, I mean, psychologists can speak mathematics, mathematicians speak mathematics, but when we come together, can we speak the same language in the same space? Okay? Okay, I'm going to skip this because, I'm just going to give you a few examples. For example, Finland. Finland, they've been doing great with cross-disciplinary information. There is this Kern Family Foundation. In 2006, they actually came up with this KEEN program, which is to create an entrepreneurship mindset in STEM graduates. These are some of the universities that are involved in that KEEN partnership to introduce that type of program in their STEM. MBA for PhD is actually is a 2 years program. It's in European Union. It was founded by them. There is some information about that. The curriculum focuses on innovation, entrepreneurship, and business skills needed to bring ideas to STEM. How many minutes is that? 1 minute? Okay, I have until 3:40. Yeah, let me take 5 minutes. We have until 3:40. No, but then you said it includes questions, right? So questions go into.
If you don't want questions, you can take 5 minutes, but then no one can ask you questions.
But if I don't finish this, you don't know what questions to ask, right? Anyways, STEM MBA is another one. Oklahoma State has another one. There is a Bachelor of Innovation by, which university was this? It's a multidisciplinary program. So that's a good one. There are different theoretical backgrounds. I don't want to go through them, even though I thought I have an hour to do this. So we have different backgrounds here. So what are the right questions to ask when you want to have cross-disciplinary? Sometimes if it works out and you have cross-disciplinary, two questions are, when is the right time to introduce this kind of knowledge? Should it be given at the beginning or at the end of the studies? Do we introduce these things to them at the freshman level, or do we introduce them in the middle, like junior, senior, or at the end, junior, senior? But to show them the big picture, sometimes it's a good idea to do both. To have cross-disciplinary courses at the beginning, at the end, or throughout the thing. There are some advantages. It can offer meaningful learning to the students. The research shows that the students in cross-disciplinary fields, when they do cross-disciplinary education, they actually do better. It does not only advance the critical thinking, but also cognitive thinking, cognitive development. A teacher could easily engage students in conversations leading to more complex issues as their structural knowledge is developed. What are the challenges? Let me quickly talk about challenges, because it is challenging. Cross-disciplinary courses require teachers with a broad interdisciplinary, cross-disciplinary knowledge. What are the chances that you can find one teacher who can teach them all? So sometimes you have to do co-teaching, and some institutions are not ready for that. They don't know even how to handle co-teaching of a course. Or you have to find someone who can actually teach, for example, a topic and entrepreneurship and innovation, and preferably is someone who is an entrepreneur, right, or an innovator. Cross-disciplinary theories are rare, and the existing ones are not well assimilated into the area of teaching. It is more complicated to teach cross-disciplinary. Changes have to happen at the university level that present serious investment and risk when you talk about cross-disciplinary. Academic processes and products change more slowly at the pace that the society is changing. Sometimes when we approach industry, university is sometimes slower than industry in terms of innovation. Faculty are not incentivized. Why would I do that? You're not paying me more. You're not giving me course release, right? They don't get any incentive or reward or support sometimes to do these things. There are no institutional mechanisms to allow students to easily take these kind of courses, unless if it is an elective, they may not take it, but it's not in the curriculum, then they don't have to take it. There is minimal faculty development to teach entrepreneurial skills that can facilitate the student learning. Getting students to learn deeply is a daunting challenge, right? That is the main challenge, okay? Another thing I wanted to mention is that sometimes if you don't have a graduate program, you don't have help from your PhD students or your graduate students to do this kind of programs. But also, the idea of perish or publish in academia sometimes prevents, so the new faculty comes in and says, I have 5 to 6 years to get my tenure and promotion, I don't have time for this. I have to teach my courses, I have to get my tenure, I have to publish, so I don't really have time. And also revamping the curriculum can be time consuming. I have some recommendations. I don't have time, but I'm going to put this on the screen, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to